Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Sarah, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how I both attach and reinforce limbs. This is one of my absolute favorite methods to join a limb because not only are you able to reinforce it, but it also creates a very seamless look that I absolutely love. It does require an extra step, which is what reinforcing is. This is a technique that I have started using somewhat recently. I kind of just worked it out on my own because I was trying to get a seamless look. But the reason I bring that up is because of my older videos. I have a crochet foundations on sewing, which is still a really good watch, where I show you how I trace the plushie to attach limbs. I don't show you how to reinforce limbs, so that's the difference in this video. So I will just be showing you how I personally reinforce limbs. I use this technique on arms, legs, ears, heads, pretty much anything besides flat things, because that's a little bit different. Enough rambling. Let's just go ahead and get into this video. You will need a sewing needle and the project you're currently working on. I'm currently working on a Willow the Wood Dragon with a couple of minor mods with the spikes. But I'm going to be showing you how I do this technique with this leg here, since hopefully you'll be able to see it very easily. I'm going to start by threading your needle with the yarn you're using. I'm sewing my leg on with Skinny Chanel or Petite Pearl, but you can use the yarn that your plushie comes with. I just prefer using this yarn with size 6 yarn, so it's a little bit easier to attach. I'm just going to begin by finding my placement, and I'm just going to start attaching it like you normally would. So the way I normally attach it is just one stitch to one stitch and sewing all the way down. The key difference in this method is the second part where you're reinforcing it. So this first part, it doesn't really matter how you join it. And you can always pin your pieces in place. I always forget to mention this, but I personally just eyeball it and then adjust the other limbs to match it when I place things on. So like I said, feel free to pin it, use Ami sticks, whatever you'd like to hold your piece in place while you attach it initially. And once you have come all the way back around and the limb is attached, this is where we switch things up. So instead of just sewing each stitch again to reinforce it, what I like to do is sew around the front post of the single crochet. So if you were going to front post single crochet, this is where you would insert your hook. But in this case, we're sliding our needle. So it's going around the single crochet of the leg. And we're gonna go through there. And then we're gonna go through the next stitch of the body, going this way again. I'm pulling that nice and tight. Now we'll do this a few more times so you can really see the difference. So here's what the seam looks like before you do the reinforcing around the front post of the single crochet, and you can see this line. This is the top of the single crochet for the leg, so that is why you can see this line here. Now here's underneath it where you sew around the front post, and that line is pretty much invisible. Like, you can really stretch it out and kind of see it again, but just on first glance, it's pretty much gone. I'm gonna go all the way around so you can see it completely finished, and then I'll give you a couple more tips. Once you get good at this technique, you can go through one post and then the next stitch of the body. But It also depends on the project. Sometimes it's just easier to go through one step at a time. There's the leg joined on completely. We went all the way around and cleaned up the seam, so it is pretty seamless. Obviously there's still a seam, but I think it just looks a whole lot cleaner for the plushie. I'm gonna secure this end real quick. I'm gonna do this by pulling up a loop from somewhere in the plushie and creating another loop and sticking my note through it. This creates a knot. I've seen other people secure their ends where they sew on both legs and then tie the ends together. You can certainly do that. I think that this is fairly secure, especially since we reinforced the limb. Even if you like pulled and tugged on it, it's not really going to come loose. You'd have to be very, very careful to pick the stitches out to unjoin it, if that's a word. So I'm going to go ahead and weave this end in. I like to tuck it in with the back of a plastic needle just because I don't like saving the ends. And there is the leg joined, nice and secure. Like I said, I tugged on it and it did not come loose, and it looks a lot nicer than like a traditional way to sew a plushie limb on. Now I use this technique on legs, on ears, I use it on the horns, on the wings, and I also do it on my flop ear patterns where I join the head on separately. And this technique works really, really great for all of those. So I highly, highly recommend giving it a try on your next plushie. Not only is it a lot cleaner, it's also a lot more secure. Let me show you the dragon finished and give you a quick look at all the seams so you can kind of get an idea of the different pieces and how they look when you join them on with this technique. If you've watched any of my recent tutorials, you know that I use this technique on every piece that I join, but on my older ones I don't, just because, like I said, this is kind of newer to me. I've been experimenting. I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial, and I really, really hope that it was helpful for all of you. I know that sewing is one of those things that's very tedious, so I hope this kind of helped a little bit. Unfortunately, some of it is just practice. Anyways, I'm just rambling on here as I normally do. Make sure to stay tuned for my next video, which will be a market vlog. You can hear me ramble even more about the most random stuff. And then also make sure to stick around for another tutorial. It is going to be one for my little wilt dragon, so I hope you all are so very excited for that one. It's gonna be a lot of work to edit and film that tutorial actually, but I'm sure it will be worth it. I'm sure you all will love it. Make sure to check out the other crochet foundations for the sewing technique, the tracing technique. I think it is a very great technique. I personally use it. It might not work for everyone, but I personally enjoy it. That is it. I will hopefully see you in my next video. Bye!